The fact that they were approaching me instead of the other way around was a good thing. But now we, of course, have the real stars. We have Richard Dawkins, we have Sam Harris, we have Daniel Dennett, and on and on and on. In fact, many of the top 100 books on Amazon now are books absolutely promoting atheism. That's the main purpose of the book. And so that's my second reason why I believe that we're approaching a golden age, if we haven't already started it already. That's the explosion of technology and the accompanying explosion of atheist books, which in the past would not have had a prayer of being published. They wouldn't. They published Bertrand Russell's because he was a Nobel Prize winner. But somebody like me, do you think they would even read a query letter? No way. No way. The third reason why I think we're approaching a golden age of atheism is that the progression of science has led to an elimination of the God of the gaps necessity. That we didn't know why something happened, so it must be God. Why is the sky blue? We don't know. It must be God. Why does the wind blow? I don't know. It must be God. So anytime we don't know anything, we plug in this God of the gaps. Well, it would logically follow that as science gained more and more knowledge, there would be fewer caverns of intellectual darkness for God to live in. Up until about 15 years ago, all of the Christian apologists would use their Goldilocks theory, that in order for life to originate on Earth, that the circumstances would have to be just exactly right. It can't be too cold, it can't be too hot, etc., etc., etc. The Goldilocks story. Now we know that life can thrive essentially anywhere. We found life in poison, methane ice that would kill anybody here. We found life in boiling vents on the ocean floor called smokers, which some speculate is where life may have originated on Earth in these vents. So as science progresses, religion almost by necessity will recede, and the God of the gaps will hopefully disappear. Reason 4 why I think we're approaching a golden age of atheism is the absolute failure of creation science and intelligent design. And I want to emphasize the absolute failure in the event Lee Strobel ever sees this video. Let me differentiate for a second the difference between creation science and intelligent design. From the 1925 Scopes monkey trial in Dayton, Tennessee, to the early 1960s, evolution wasn't taught in the schools. There might have been one sentence in a science book, but it wasn't called evolution. It was called change through time or adaptation. Evolution was a dirty word. And after the Soviets launched Sputnik in 1957, there was a new push in America to revitalize our science program. We've got to get rid of these old science books and catch up with the Soviets. And when the science books were revised, the evidence at that time that supported evolution was so voluminous that you couldn't ignore it. You had to put it in any real science book. So in the early 1960s, the government, the U.S. government, and to an even greater extent the state governments, which control the curriculum for the public schools, the curricula, bought books which taught evolution. Well, this didn't go over well with the fundamentalist Christian community. And they couldn't make a legal argument that we don't want evolution because it would grieve the Holy Ghost. They had to make an argument that we don't want evolution, or that we want to present God in some way because of scientific reasons. So they invented something called scientific creationism. Now, about a year later, it was changed to creation science. It was scientific creationism, then creation science. It was founded principally by a Virginia hydraulic engineer named Henry Morris, who just passed away about a year ago. Creation science was a disaster. It taught that the world was 6,000 years old, and needless to say, none of the real scientific community accepted it. So it failed. So the Christian fundamentalists were not about to resign themselves to teaching evolution in the public schools. So now, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? So they took a pause, and they regrouped, rethought, impeached Bill Clinton for lying about a blowjob, and then came up with a remarketed plan called intelligent design, which is creation science under a new name. The only significant difference between creation science and intelligent design is that intelligent design does teach that the earth is ancient, that it is about 4.7 billion years old. But it has, again, utterly failed. And here's the real test. You can say, that Mills, who's he? He's nobody. He doesn't have a PhD from MIT. He's nobody. Why should I listen to what he has to say about science? True. True. But think of it this way. Excuse me. The scientific community itself does have a way of honoring its greatest discoveries. They're called Nobel Prizes. Well, if J.J. Thomson can win a Nobel Prize in 1906 for discovering there was such a thing as an electron, if Crick and Watson in 1953 can write a paper describing the DNA double helix and win the 1962 Nobel Prize in physiology, then anybody that could scientifically prove there was a God, well, that would be the most incredible discovery of all humanity. And so if you could win a Nobel Prize for this little electron and for this little molecule, discovering how that operated, then certainly you would win a Nobel Prize for proving God's existence. Well, have they won a Nobel Prize? No. Are they going to win a Nobel Prize? Hell no. So you don't have to trust me. I'm nobody. Let's just see what the Nobel Committee has to say in future years about that. Well, but then the intelligent design people will say, well, there's a big conspiracy. There's a big conspiracy against it. So they want to have it both ways. They want to claim they're part of science, and then they want to argue that science is conspiring against it. So, but my fourth reason, again, I'm not sticking to the script here. My fourth reason for thinking that we're about to enter a golden age of atheism is the absolute failure of creation science and intelligent design.